Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Give everyone a few minutes to filter in. We do have one pre-submitted question for today. It looks like that. We'll give everyone just a few minutes to filter in like normal here. All right, hey everyone, my name is Will. I'm running Lunch and Learn today. As always, if you have a question, you can either ask it in chat, ask it in the Q&A session, or you can just use the raise hand function. Do have a pre-submitted question, but I don't see that user is online yet. So we will wait for them to join before answering that question. At least wait another minute or two. So let us know. Oh, wonderful. I'm gonna go ahead and just drop this in the chat. And I will allow you to talk, Jackie. I have a user action flow that shows the in-session form data, but that data changes after the next contributor adds or updates the data on the form. How can I get a permanent view of only the data provided on the in-session form in the process folder after the flow has progressed or been completed? Let me see if I understand this exactly. So you have like a case or a process folder, and on that you've added an action called like view data or something that runs a flow which has an in-session form that shows you data.
Yeah, so I created a user action with a form, and it's populated from the form from the process, or the data from the process folder.
Okay.
Or from my structure anyway. And so what I want is I can see all the other forms. So all the assigned forms, you can open them up and see what was provided in those, the data that was provided in those forms, but you can't see what the initial user submitted.
Because it can change.
Yes.
So it's specifically the initial data is what you want to see?
Well, I want to see them all. So I have them all except for the in-session form data. Right. So
I see. This is because you're using view completed form.
Yes.
And the first form is not isn't an assignment, and you don't want it to be an assignment because you don't want to create a task on every submission, right?
Right. Unless there's a way to turn that into it, like I can make that an assigned form. It's just I don't want the user to get emails and things about having this task to complete.
Now you could make it an assigned form, and you can turn off emails and make it appear to be an in-session form. The problem is every time someone goes, like let's assume this was a PTO request. Every time I would submit a PTO, even if I didn't complete it, I would then like create a task. And so you get a bunch of garbage created using this, that sort of pattern, but you can do that. Like, is your process restrictive? Like if I'm going to go submit it, I have to submit it? Or is it much like I can or I can't, like a PTO request is very sort of ad hoc in that way?
Yeah, no. So it's a rigid, it has to be completed, canceled, or like each flow has to be completed at some point, and it'll time out after a while. So it has to go to completion. If that's what you're asking.
Yeah, so I mean, you can I don't think I would use an assignment. I don't think I would turn the inSession form into an assignment, but you can. If that's the route you wanted to go down. Well, the thing is, what sort of data type? Are you using a process folder or a case?
A process folder.
Okay, and so the process you don't actually set up the process folder until the user submitted the inSession form, right?
Right. Right, because I don't want to burn the numbers. So
one thing you could do, I think the way I would probably do this is create a folder entity. And that folder entity would be initial submission, would be called like initial submission information or something. And you could put an act, and then when a user submits, you set up the process folder, and then you add this entity into that folder. And then you could have what is effectively a view completed form action. It would still show up in the folder action, in the folder activity panel, if that's where your users are seeing. It wouldn't be an assignment, it would just be like a record. So I can show you what I mean by that.
yeah,
So
please.
let me get myself set up to work here. Everyone, we're working on the question from Jackie in the chat at the moment, for those of you that just joined here, which is record. Actually, let me keep my naming convention here, LNL, and it is 10:18. And here is record initial submission. All right, so I'm going to create a flow execution extension just to map to your example. This will be called, I'll call this new loan, maybe. And str, I'll just give it 2 properties here as normal, str1, str2. All right, and then what I'm going to do is create an entity here. So I'll create data types again, and I'm going to create an entity. Now, an entity is a data type that has a folder context, just like an assignment does, or a comment or a document. I can put it into a folder, and this will be called initial submission capture. And then this will have, str1, str2. These are going to be my 2 data types. I'm going to use my new loan and my initial submission capture. So if I create a flow, which will be, submit new loan app, get this set up. So put a form here. We'll find setup process folder. We will come and then find our entity, which will be user defined types, entities, initial submission, create. And I'm going to put another form in. So it'll be, here's our initial, this is our inSession form. So we'll create a new one. We'll just call it inSession form 1. I'll put a text box on this thing called, address or something. I'll put a button down. I'll then map that to my setup process folder step. And I'll pick my parent folder, put in some garbage text for my description and my folder name. Select use extension data, change this to 10, where is my data type here? Let me see here. New loan, flow execution extension, manage, let me see. Make sure I get a compile here. All right, let me check that again. Submit new loan, process folder, extension data. Oh, here we go. Oh, sorry, it's right there. Did I put odd that it picked up 10, 11? Interesting. Sorry, there it is. I'm going to go to create, and then I'm going to go to and create my assign form step here. And I'm just going to put a single button and a text box on this as well, put a label here, just so we can tell them apart. All right. So here's setup process folder. We'll do build data. It won't map anything in. Then we'll come to our create step. Now, what we're going to do here to get this all working is we've got a folder ID. We're going to get that from the process folder step. So we'll select from flow, process folder ID. That's the new folder ID that comes out of the setup process folder step. We can either select the setup process folder step and look on the bottom, or better, we can select Data Explorer and we can see where the data comes from and where it is consumed. And then item to create, I'm going to select build data. I created two properties on this. I'm just going to pass in the address to one, and I'll do like a text merge plain on the other, and I'll pass in the address, and I'll just add some static text like +1 to it. So oops, I need to get the rest of this configured. On my form, I'm going to turn this to assigned to administrators. Assignment name will be, approve or something. Assignment action name will be approve. All right, so if I save this, so if I run submit new loan, I'm going to get an inSession form here, and I'll go ahead and put in the address, 1001 Hello World Drive. Oh, I have an error. Let me fix that. I need to put a name in. The name of this will be initial submission data. Let's try this again. (1002) Hello World Lane. Okay, I have my assignment. I'm going to go ahead and complete my assignment. So let's go look at that process folder. I'm going to click into it, which is 007. So this is what you have already, right? Now that we've gotten everything set up, I see my completed assignment here with a view completed form, where I can see the data entered. And so what we have also here, though, is initial submission data. Now this is our object. In fact, if I change from this view to process data view, I can see I have 2 comments and an initial submission capture. And in fact, if I change this to be with hidden, I should also see my completed assignment. So this is my assignment whose name was approved, which is hidden because it's been completed. Do you have a question?
No, I didn't have a question. No, I'm just trying to follow along.
So what I'm going to do is in my flow, I save some data into initial submission data. So I'm going to back out of here. And I'm going to find my initial submission, and I'm going to add a user action. So this is going to be user action. I'm going to create user action. I'm just going to name it the same, view completed form data. And then I'm going to just use one of the forms I already have, which is one of the forms I just created, which was I'll use the inSession form 1. And I'm going to map in my entity str. Oh, I didn't save it. It's not going to show me anything, is it? str1. I might have to rerun this again. If I then come back, and I'll walk back through this in more detail for you. If I come back to 007, I now have a view completed form action. I can run that. Oh, look at that. I did map it in. Good. And I can see 1002 Hello World Lane, which is effectively, it's not exactly the same, but I can then allow myself to have the actual assigned forms, and then I can leverage this entity, which has a folder context and the ability to create custom actions for that entity, to be able to kind of in this one view, be able to see the submitted and the in-session form data and the assigned form data. This would be the pattern I would recommend if you need to see the initial submission data.
Yeah, that sounds good. And so if you ran it again, the data is not going to change, right? On the in-session, which is what I'm running into now, right? So when the data changes once the next assignment is done, then the data for the initial in-session form changes to what it changed to on the assigned form.
Right. Yeah, because you're like mapping into text boxes and allowing people to edit and then push it to the next level, put it to the next state or place.
Yeah, yeah. And if you go into
Correct.
the initial, and the other thing is that the form was changeable. Like what I was doing, they could change that form when they viewed it in the process folder. And so in this particular case, when you ran that, I think it was just disabled, the information that you captured on the in-session form. I'm pretty sure that was disabled.
If like on the action here,
Yes.
this is not disabled, but I could make it disabled, but it doesn't save anything. So if I do 12, it's not going to retain that because it's not, I don't have any saved behavior. I'm not I'm not saving anything to the database. So I can disable this, or I can leave it enabled, but know that any changes made won't actually persist, because all it is just a form that has in a flow with no saved behavior.
Right. And so if you went into the view completed form, oh no, because you already completed it. So can you run it with something different so that I can see that it doesn't change? Like if you run the flow with, I don't know, can you do that? Can you change it on the approved form? The same fields?
Yes. Okay, sure. So I'll have to set that up. So here's my form where I take an address. It's changing value of address. And then I'm going to find a save entity step. Well, yeah, save entities. I'm going to save my process. So do I map in? Process folder, I map in. Interesting that it took that and saved it. So let me map an address here. So this is, I pass address in, I change the value of address. I'm going to update my loan application. I'm going to select the extension data here. And I could do this. How about I copy this? And we'll change it a few times. Oops. Okay, great. That should let me modify it. So I'll run my flow. I'm going to put in hello world 101. I'll change this to 102. And I'll change this to 103. Okay, so I can look at my new folder here. Now, initial submission data, if I view this, is hello world 101. If I view completed form, it'll be hello world 102. And it'll be hello world 103. But this hasn't changed at all because it's just a separate place to store the data at, just to give you that initial submission data capture. Does that get you what you're after?
Yes, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, and we'll get this posted on YouTube as well for you, so you can follow it at a more leisurely pace. I know I'm fast, but yeah. So I think that's probably the approach I would take here to try to get it to give you the similar view in the folder activity panel, and it saves you from all the hassle of trying to use an assignment first and then cleaning up old assignments if they don't get submitted, and it can get quite messy if you try to make the first form an assignment instead of an in-session form.
And so it'll work the same way if I have a file. So the initial submitter submitted a file, an Excel file document. It'll work the same way. There won't be any problem with that either, right?
Correct. Yep. You can just build the initial submission object with the right properties.
Right.
And then,
Perfect.
yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So I've answered that. And I'm going to answer Jeff's question here. I will remove and allow. And this is Jeff's question here. What is the issue when you deserialize XML and it gives the error? There is an error in XML document, like line 1, position 2. Top level element was not expected when there is no namespace in the XML string. Remember, there was a bug in 5.17 that had to do with Unicode, which was fixed in 5.18, but I'm seeing it again. I don't think you have to actually declare the names. This is actually a type from XML.
In this case, it's just a flow structure.
Okay. So you're getting, you're getting XML back, you're deserializing some XML like string into a flow structure?
Yeah.
Okay, that should be fine. Let me find some, let's just see here. Yeah. Here we go. There's a simple XML top level element.
I just put that in there sort of as a generic name.
There, it should be fine. Let's see here. XML, and if I create a type from this XML, so I'll call this Jeff test 1. So here's my type, which is type, should create a type called note with full 4 properties. And let me do XML minify. Yep. And let me build a flow now to test my XML and find a deserialize. And I'll find my type note, put this in as a constant, and then connect my done and error paths. Error. Okay, 145, name cannot begin with the dot character. That looks like an issue with, well, where's our dot character? What's wrong with this? I don't like that error, 145.
It doesn't like that XML element. I know that for a fact.
What, the top one? The
In your constant
version?
Yeah.
So if we hack that off and just do note, done. So there was an issue when we added this, which was encoding, right? And I think actually we gave you didn't we give you a step to flip the mappings because we set a default on these?
Yeah, I think when the step was first, or when that property was added to the step, it was defaulting to UTF-8 maybe. That was causing it to. must have some strange scenario going on there.
So you got valid XML. You validated the actual XML itself.
Yeah, yeah. And there's no namespaces. There's no XML element on the head of it. It's just
Let's see here.
in this particular case, it's giving me that error.
Top level element. It's not.
Now you created your data type using, the XML parser.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that it's expecting? Like, should you have been able to just create a new flow structure from scratch?
Yeah, I should still be able to.
Okay.
Is that what you guys have done?
Yeah. So in this case, the object
Okay.
type I'm deserializing into is just a simple flow structure.
Okay, so that should be fine. It should be able to. And so I need to have a type. I guess do I have to create a type whose name is note to from heading body? Let's grab a screenshot of this. And then let's create a type from a flow structure here. This is probably, I have to change this. I might have to. Yeah. So I'm gonna call this thing note, and I'm gonna have a field called to from heading body. Oops. Okay, save this. So there's note. So let me come into my flow and I'll copy this. And then on this, I will deselect show only user defined XML types. I'll search Jeff test 1. There is note Jeff test 1. Error. Ah, there we go.
That's what I'm getting. Yeah.
Okay. Course steps, XML deserialize, step run, deserialize, deserialize. Okay. So how do I deserialize XML string into a flow structure is the question, right?
Yeah.
That should be fine. Let me look at the name. Oh, maybe I have could it, go ahead, Jeff, sorry.
Oh, so we do this other places in our project.
Mm-hmm.
But I did notice that some of the existing steps when I go into them that where it has you pick the type and you unchecked show me only XML types.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The type that's currently in there is in there, but it's not on the XML list.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it's kind of a weird state. So I don't know if something was changed regarding that.
Well, we added that checkbox recently-ish just to cut down the options.
Okay.
That's really all it is. It's
okay.
It's mostly just like so you don't get the whole data type list in. Not so much that you can't. It's not about not being able to use them. As long as you should be able to just do it. Even here's note with a lowercase n. I don't know if I'm just seeing if case matters here. What's wrong with you? No input, no input. Oh, that's fine. So debug. Okay, so case specific matters here. So I created note. So what if I change, that might matter. Like this is my capital one. If I change, I think the casing maybe at least of the root node might matter here. Jeff, I'm just guessing a bit. And that failed. Okay, I think that's what it is. Does that, so I have capital note N, lowercase n, but the XML I'm using is lowercase. I can get the same error if I, as you, is if the XML I'm passing in, if I'm using the capital N and the XML is lower, or if I'm using the lower and the capital XML. Like I bet if I come in here and modify this, I can get this to happen. But I can get the same error again. I think there's a mismatch between the type name of the flow structure and the casing. Oh, something like that. Oh wait, never mind. I want the error. Yeah, 1 and 2. I think that must be what you're encountering here.
Oh,
Or this is an edge case that I also can get the same error on, one or the other. Does that make
got
sense
you.
what I'm saying?
yeah. I think it does, because in this case, the XML, it's not a case mismatch, but the XML top, the root elements form tracking XML. And my type name is just form tracking. So it doesn't match. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's expecting a case specific, at least root node. It might be, yeah, so.
Okay, that helps.
Yep, I think that's
Thanks,
yeah, no, you bet. I'm glad I wasn't thinking I was gonna be able to finally get you something. You've been stumping me in recent history, so. I guess we met one of the guys over there that works like in your accounting shop or something. He was at Decisions Days.
Oh yeah, Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was coming down. He was looking to put some of
Cool.
our accounting processes and decisions.
Yeah, that's awesome. Happy to help him out, whatever he might need.
Okay. Thanks, Will.
You bet, Jeff. Hey, Amber, is this, where'd this question come from?
This is, I think, another pre-submitted one on our Q&A report. I was just about to submit.
Of course, I forgot. This is Marie's
Okay.
submission. Yep, got it. Thank you for reminding me about that. So
No
we
problem.
do record these so she can. So let's post this so everyone can see it. We have a project set up with case entities. We will add a state called canceled in an upcoming phase. It is my belief that the state will not necessarily apply to any existing transactions that need to be canceled. I tried going to the query editor to select and update items, but I'm only getting extension fields from the data structure and not the state. Is there a way we can do this? We do not want to delete items because they're coming in from an external system and that damages the audit trail. We have a project set up with case entities. We will add a state called canceled in an upcoming phase. I don't understand exactly what she's asking here. She's using the query to select and update items. I think her question is about where the state field lives at. And so the question is, yeah, I'm only getting extension fields for the data structure and not the state. Yes, so I will create a folder here. Did I put this? That's why I was getting confused. I didn't realize I didn't put this at root. So where do case states live? So I can create a case. This will be called new loan type str1, str2. Now I'm going to add a case. I guess I need to allow that. Let me edit this. Show add action. Maybe I just need to refresh then. Add case, new loan type. This will be loan 1, loan type 1. And hello. And world. All right, I've created a case. So what Maria is saying is if I come and go other query editor, I can find my table. I think if I search new, here's new loan type. I can then generate a select query and run this. Here's my record. We'll see I have str1, which is hello, str2, which is world, case ID, entity ID, extension ID, some type names, and some other pieces here. It doesn't have case, but we know a case folder has that. And that's because the state lives in the folder table. So what I can do is select star from entity folder as EF, inner join, and I'll steal this table, this ugly table name. I can join on my case folder. I'll just set as loan on loan.extension ID equals EF.extension ID. And here I'm going to do entity name and state at the front of my select. And if I run this, there's C008 and case is started. So the answer to Maria's question is that a case is two data types in decisions world slammed together. A folder, which is all of the entity tracking, and then your actual case data itself, which in this example is this terribly named new loan type data type. And those two things join on the extension ID. So for her question, what we need to do is figure out in her flow or just in the query she's writing, and then we could write the right queries so that we can apply the updates logic to the state property of the folder and then make sure we're identifying the right folders, since there's thousands of other folders that aren't cases, by joining them onto the table and then applying our conditional statements into the SQL query. Okay. Anyone else have any questions today? Okay. Oh, all right. Jeff said, oh, you owe me Jimmy John's. There you go. So Jeff confirmed that the name, it is the casing on at least on one of the XML elements that was causing his issue. Just mark these as answering live. Thank you, Jeff. All right, that's 40 minutes in. If there's no more questions, we'll go ahead and call it an afternoon. Again, for those of you that are new, this is our daily lunch and learn. These are Monday through Thursday, 12 to 1 Eastern time. Free to join. And just let everyone else know at your organization who's using decisions that we do these all the time. And we've got really only the top team members on this, so it should be easy access to good information. I don't include myself in that group. But anyways, all right, thanks everyone. Have a great afternoon, and we will see you tomorrow, same time.